standard thing, so we're not going to put it in a review or certain documents. What if I just start up on the video? What do you say? Second review. Okay, that's fine. And they're just for energy purposes. Okay, you ready?
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Present.
Here. Okay, we don't have any questions at the table on paying the bills? Okay, I'll offer it. Yes. Yes. Bruce, you want to give a brief, oh, I'm sorry, that's okay. 13-2, want to give a brief synopsis of it? 13-2.
The change order.
Oh, I apologize.
Okay, it's 1389.
1389. Okay, we're doing change orders. We're getting money back from the change order through our grant, correct? So it's be covered? Okay.
None for me.
So I'll offer that.
I'll second that. Yes.
Yes. I think Bruce is going to take it. Bruce,
I would do the favor of comment to this, the favor of comment are not expensive. First glance, they look pretty sensitive. They're really not, and they'll incidentally just clarify the changes we already adopted. So my recommendation would be to adopt those changes. If they're not substantive, you can amend the resolution tonight separately and
Okay, we'll take care of tonight then. And we can just go ahead immediately then.
Okay, does anyone at the table have any questions or concerns about ordinance? Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone have any questions on 13-2?
it will be as amended by the planning board recommendation with
Okay. 13-2. Yes, Mr. Landgraf. Bruce, what is the moratorium?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
He knows what he's talking about.
We can stop work order in city council because it exceeds the current zoning.
The height limit.
Now, once the council is going to move forward with the farm, then they'll get their approval, they'll move forward, and once they're approved, they'll stop work order.
So we will
The effective date is, I don't think necessarily effective tomorrow.
typically within 10 days, correct? Within 10 days? Hang on, guys.
So I'm here, the exact date is
Yeah, I think that's
Typically it's 10 days. Okay. So, I'll offer it.
Yes.
Yes.
Reading and public hearing is ordinance 0-13-3, ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 10-5.3, application for certificate of occupancy of the revised general ordinances of the borough plans to permit certificates of occupancy to be issued without requiring the name of the occupant of the residential unit at the time of application. This was published in the March 29th edition of the New York Times. It is now ready for public hearing. I just wanted to make mention to the council that the code enforcement officer did provide us with comments on this ordinance.
Okay. We did all the lights and lights on everybody's.
I read them, yes.
Everybody understand?
No, the not having names for the CO is just a 30-day period.
That's correct, I reviewed the comments also. And the timeframe for alleviating the CO name requirement has to arise out of that 2-day period around the storm. It has to be the same individuals moving back, and they have to provide the name within 30 days. So the ordinance was very limited to address a specific situation, and I think that alleviates the concern.
To help folks are back in the house.
Yeah. So at this point, I don't know if they read it and
He probably didn't know that. From his comments, he probably didn't know that. He was trying to make us aware that we didn't have a situation where it was running wild.
Yeah, he had some good points, but we're aware of it.
But I don't think he knew about it. It was only limited to 30 days. We're going to open the public hearing, 13-3, certificate of occupancy ordinance amendment. Any questions on that? Temporary thing, Michelle?
Michelle Pizzullo, 115 Highland Avenue. I'm a little concerned about letting people just rent willy-nilly. I know it's not willy-nilly because you're going to follow up in a couple of days, but who's going to ensure that that happens? And if people aren't vetted before they come in, you have no idea who's going to be living next to you or above you or anywhere else. So I think that it's kind of a slippery slope to just kind of wave that by. That's my opinion.
Yes, Michelle.
How about the sure drive? Well, maybe not. But we have people moving in with no COs. And we inquired about that, and they told us they were issuing COs. So what's the deal? Do we have to have those people get COs? Some of them are owners, and some of them are renters coming back, and they're coming to a construction site. And then they get there, and then right away they fell over the brick, and fell over this, you know, and they right away want to sue us, and they have no COs. So really, we're considering them squatters.
Who's not issuing CO?
Nobody.
We're issuing COs, right?
Why not?
Well, Liz, can I just comment on that?
Please.
I think that's a good question and a good point, but technically it's probably better at public comment because it really doesn't deal with the substance of the ordinance, which is really the specific waiving the name requirement CO. It doesn't even waive the CO requirement, although it relates to the certificate of occupancy.
Okay, reserve that so you guys can think about it. I know you missed me.
Any other comments? So now I'll close it. 13-3, Carol, want to read it?
On final reading and adoption is ordinance 0-13-3, an ordinance amending and supplementing chapter 10-5.3, application for certificate of occupancy of revised general ordinances of the borough plan to permit certificates of occupancy to be issued without requiring the name of the occupants of a residential unit at the time of the application.
I'll offer it.
Offered by Mayor Rollins.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Ms. Ryan. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Francis? Ms. Kane? Yes. Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Motion carries. On for second reading, the public hearing is ordinance 0-13-4, an ordinance of the Borough of Hampton, County of Holland, and State of New Jersey, authorizing the Borough of Plans to waive the construction permit fees for work performed as a consequence of damage caused by Superstorm Sandy. This ordinance was published in the March 9th edition of the New York Times, and we now get for public hearing.
Any other comments on 13-4, which is the construction department fees?
Tom Wilczewski, two here. I agree with the ordinance. I think it should be waived. Also, I think the waiving of dumpster fees should be added with it. I mean, if somebody's going to do construction, you're going to need a dumpster to get rid of it. So I think that ought to be added. I don't know if it already is, but I think an ordinance to tell us somebody has to pay to have a dumpster on their own property while they're doing construction from a superstore is kind of negative. So I'm just saying, I just think you should add that with that. You can.
Right now, we can't do this because it's public, but it's a good point, something to consider later.
Okay,
Thank you for your
No,
comment.
I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, Michelle Pizzullo, 115 Highland Avenue. I have a question. If we're waiving construction department fees, what happens, where is this money coming from, first of all? And second of all, what about the taxes on the back end of that? Aren't we going to have to kind of make up for that? Where are we going to get this money? And if you're waiving it for, for Superstorm Sandy, that's a select number of people, so everybody else has to bear the burden of the, I would presume that it's taxes that will have to support that. And that's my concern. And I think it's a valid one, because the letter the way I interpreted when I read that November letter, was that you may. It doesn't mean that you have to. It says that you may. And again, where is the money coming from?
Thank you,
That's all I
Michelle.
have to say.
Anybody else have any comments? Sir?
Yeah, Joe, okay, it's 24. Why don't they, maybe, instead of getting rid of them, it's going to really hurt the town, why don't they cut them down temporarily? Maybe in half or whatever. This way it's not a complete loss, and everyone, and the people who didn't suffer damage won't be bad.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Arnie Feud, 50 Valley Street. If we haven't hired anybody else, there really isn't any more expense to issuing those permits, is there, to speak of?
In theory, if you hire another person, it's an expense not moving.
No, you're not going to, is that correct?
Right now, there's nothing on the table to hire anybody else. We
Right,
have some
so-
workforce grants that are ending on the 29th of April that we're trying to get extended that might be able to take care of that, or might be able to readdress that, or readdress funds, so.
Because I think overall, people would be more than happy to waiver the fees for the permits if there's no additional expenses
I
to the
understand.
town.
And then if the folks that are trying to get back in their house would be more than happy to not pay a fee too to get back in.
If it's new construction, it's different.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Just about the fees.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I just got here.
It's okay, John, I know where you are, sorry.
Listen, the way I see the fees are, we know half the downtown, 80% is rentals. Homeowners, it's a little late now, but if you wanted to give them a break, that was one thing. But why give landlords a break? You should hold them, the fees are fees, okay? And the other thing is, if you're gonna waive the fees, you're not gonna, things are gonna be lackluster. You got guys going out to inspect, want to do a thorough job after this. Not a, I gotta do it in a certain time period, I gotta do all this work this fast, I think, the fees are the fees. My insurance company paid me for the fees,
Some did, some didn't.
whatever they are.
I think the challenge habits is people doing stuff without, because they have to pay a fee and maybe can't. I know nobody wants to hear that, but that's an economic reality.
Well, it is what it is, though.
We're not waiving the permits though, John.
No, not waiving the permit.
No, you got to pay for the fees. You got to pay the fees. What if you don't pay the fees and the rest of us got to make it up? Everybody's got to pay. Somebody's going to pay. Somewhere, somehow, someway. You got to pay. So why don't you, whatever it is, it is. It'd be different if you were saying, listen, this much covers all your permit fees. That's one thing. But to waive them completely is you can't distinguish between landlords and residents and who got reimbursed and who didn't. People got reimbursed, so what you're saying is I should just pocket that money. That's not fair.
Okay.
Well, they gave me the money, I got to give it to someone.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
but what if you can't get reimbursed?
You got it.
I can't, I agree with you, I understand.
What if you can't?
And a lot of the folks that can't probably can't afford to pay that. What we're trying to, I guess the spirit of this was to try to have no reason for you not to apply for a permit and then be done right and not have fires down the road or whatever, God forbid, poorly done things.
Excuse me, can I come in? Jamie, okay. your address.
45 Fort Street.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jackie, she's still 162. I have a question. Is there a way to make the tax write-off? So it offsets everything? Can you let them use that all?
I don't think the town has control of tax right on the
I mean, I didn't know if that's something.
Yeah, it's not a bad thought, but I don't think we can do that at the municipal level. Yes, sir.
What if the fees have already been paid? Are those people going to
And then they have, and if this passes tonight, we'll have to figure out a mechanism. Many folks think that, obviously, in 2 months, so many folks think. Okay, seeing no more questions, want to read it back?
On for final reading and adoption is ordinance 0-13-4, an ordinance of the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, authorizing the Borough of Highlands to waive construction fees for work performed as a consequence of damage caused by civil storms.
I'll offer it.
Offered by Mayor Long.
Second.
Second by Mr. Francis. Ms. Ryan?
No.
Mr. Redmond?
No.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Ms. King?
No, and I would just like to list the following reasons why. I just feel that the ordinance is very loose, for better terms. It basically says it'll reimburse for any such fees if they weren't covered by insurance or governmental program. I don't think we have a way of knowing, quite frankly. To date, we have spent about $100,000 in fees, revenues that we've brought in from fees. So if you do that to the July 1 timeframe, you're probably looking about $400,000 as things start to boom. That's going to be quite a difference to make up in another budget cycle. Is this going to, there's no parameters. Does this also include housekeeping? How are we going to verify the status? How are we going to issue the refunds? Until the resolutions, we're going to continue to pay it. And what happens, as Johnny said, what if the contractor purchased them for you? How does that get back to the resident? How do we know? So I just think there's too many unknowns, and it's very loose.
Okay, Mayor Long?
Yes.
Motion fails.
What's the next one?
Moving on to ordinance 0-13-5, we have to review the county board comments first.
This was actually my comments, I'll reiterate them from before. They were intended for this ordinance. The first ordinance, similar comments, the exchanges from the planning board were not substantial, but that was only a small section. For 05, they are a little bit more detailed, I'll say, but when you dig into them, they really do not change the substance of the ordinance. There's clarifications, a lot of rewording paragraphs, but it doesn't change the meaning, intent, or substance of the ordinance. So we can adopt it with the planning board changes, and that will be on the second reading moving forward. That's not a reintroduction.
It's not a reintroduction.
Correct. Not a,
Okay.
we're clarifying it from your
Yes.
comment.
Thank you.
On for second reading, public hearing is ordinance 0-13-5, an ordinance of the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth in the State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 21 zones and amendments regulations of the general ordinances of the Borough of Highlands.
13-5, all of the portion. Do you have any questions, comments on 13-5?
What's the matter, Claire? To Broadway Avenue. I have a couple of questions on this first, and then I'd like to present it. When exactly was the most recent version made available to the public?
Friday or Monday? I got mine on Monday, I believe, correct?
This was introduced,
No, I think you were talking about the clarification changes, correct? I would assume it was Friday or Monday, I got mine in the mail.
Because I just feel like the amount of information that's presented here
Okay.
really would warrant a lot of closer reading by a lot more people before we make this decision. And I'm trying very hard to read through all of this, but it's really hard to do that. And I think it's such a big issue that I think we really would need more time. So I would offer that, that we actually postpone this so that the larger public has the opportunity to really read this and digest it and understand really what this means for us.
Was your question when was the planning board recommendation made, or when was the ordinance that was introduced?
This
That answered the
particular
information.
document as I'm
okay,
looking
that
Oh, that was made available after the last.
right, and the also published in the March 29th issue of the
Actually, so 2 weeks ago.
It's available for a while. But the actual changes that we're talking about today, we're clarifying, we did on Thursday night at the planning board, on Thursday, we did that.
Okay, yeah, and again, I think with just being able to look at the final document as it is in front of us today, I would say that, there are a lot of things that we really need to think about. One other thing that would urge me to say let's hold off is the conversations that we had at the meeting on Monday with the actuarian who had basically, we sat down with him to understand exactly what would be the implications of the different zones in terms of the insurance implications for individuals. And, one of the things that he had discussed with us that if this is over in terms of these zones, then we're looking to even 1 to 2 feet below expected elevation. We're talking about $10,000 a year in fees. However, if it's in a B zone, then you're talking about anywhere from 2 to 7 feet below the expected elevation. We're talking about 3,000 to 3,500. So that's a really big difference, and I think a lot more people would really need to think about sort of what those implications are, understand how it affects them personally. So that's just sort of.
So what you're saying is it might be that they have to go higher?
No, what I'm suggesting is that I feel like there should be a lot better understanding of the implications of passing this.
Okay. Anything else? You said you have a few.
No, that's kind of.
Okay, so just name and address, please.
John Major at 15 Value. Now, her questions, her points that she raised just now are very good ones. We got into a similar discussion on Monday, and I prepared a position here that I've given to Karen. I wanted to read it later, but actually it applies to a lot of the questions from raised, and I was wondering if I could read this now.
Please.
Okay.
This is the time.
Okay. On Monday, I talked to a few reps from FEMA. Not only on Monday, but prior to that, I read a lot of their literature. And it's confirmed in those conversations and the literature that beginning this August, they'll begin a year's worth of public hearings between them, the state, and the municipality. Now, so why is the rush to judgment to go to 14 feet just now? The implications are very serious. I've outlined just 5 to think of. But number one, if an owner at 12 feet doesn't raise to 14 feet, he'll be liable for significant insurance premium increases. At 12 feet, the estimate is $10,300 a year just for flood insurance. Actually, it's $386. It's a specific quote. Although a quote for 14 feet isn't yet available, because the map hasn't been adapted, it's expected to be a significant burden on the 12-foot houses, who are already going to have a high premium. Number two, if the guy doesn't raise to 14 feet, he won't be able to sell the house. As a prospective non-cash buyer, won't be able to secure a mortgage, as he probably can't or won't obtain insurance. So that takes basically the 12-footers off the real estate market. As witnessed with my property, I live at 15 and I'm at V12 and I'm on pylons. And everyone else I know at 12 feet, there was no substantial damage and no first floor flooding. I can develop a coordinated approach with these owners and demonstrate our common concern. We're being led in a needlessly costly direction. Also, I invite anyone to my property to witness the water and to examine the assurance adjusters reports that verify the height level of the water. The height level of the water is 2.5 feet below the first floor. Including the first floor was 24 feet. Okay. Raising the 14 feet to those at 12 feet would not incur damages, will place a financial burden on them as they don't qualify for any government assistance. You have to have 50% damage to qualify for assistance. So the guy at 12 feet, he's going to pay the total raising cost will bear the extra insurance cost, or not be able to sell this house. None of those alternatives are good. Many residents already in or considering exiting from the Highlands. Raising the height could be the icing on a cake of fewer radios, higher real estate taxes, and decreased services. Together with the $10,000 insurance premium and increasing taxes, a home assessed at $350,000 would be paying about $2,000 a month before mortgage payments. Okay? Being involved with the marine industry, and I am, and minding the oceanography, and I've been there for 40 years. As well as the empirical evidence, 12 feet was and is sufficient. I believe mandating 14 feet is going to place a burden on our town that's not needed and an unjustifiable burden on an already heavily burdened citizen. I hope my position, as well as others at 12 feet, is considered prior to any rush towards accepting 14 feet, because it's not needed. Thanks in advance for your consideration. As I said, I still need a copy of this paragraph.
You sent an email too, I finally got an email.
Good. Email basically says the same thing.
No. Okay. Anyone else have any further questions?
We support his position.
I'm sorry?
12-footer, like support.
What's your name and address? I'm sorry, sir.
Gordon, 11 Huddy Avenue, also a 12-footer. His neighbor closer to the water. Again, any damage I got was wind, not water.
Okay.
And now I'm looking at a burden that I cannot afford.
Okay. Thank you, sir. You have some comments or questions?
I'm also at 11 Huddy Avenue, and I would like...
I'm sorry, ma'am, name and it's 1100, what's the name?
Gordon.
Okay.
At 11 Huddy Avenue. And I consider that the raising of all the properties to this height is an unrealistic burden on the local citizenry, which is going to force the majority of people in the town to move out. We've already had a situation where the insurance companies weren't paying, FEMA wasn't paying, no one has been paid back. In fact, we didn't even get a check for anything until 2 weeks ago. And we had homeowners insurance, flood insurance, boat insurance, you name it. And the amounts that we got were fractional compared to the damage. And I'm sure that's the case with many of the people in Highlands.
How much damage did you have, 12 feet?
We had the loss of the stuff under the house that was down on the ground. And then we also had a boat on a trailer under the house in the garage that flipped and was destroyed.
Okay.
And we also had a boat over at Atlantic Highlands which went walkabout. Right. And then we also had power outages for a long time, which resulted in us having to pay for a generator. We had wind damage, but the water flooded some of our air conditioning units. But the point of the matter is that while we were able to move back into our home very quickly after the hurricane, we were lucky.
You're very lucky.
Many of our neighbors, which did not have raised homes, have still not been able to move back in. And in many cases, they're not able to move back in, not because they couldn't fix up the house and get it rebuilt, but because of these raised standards where you have to raise the floor, they can't get insurance to raise the building. And so as a result, they're faced with just writing off their house and moving away.
My opinion, it sets a standard, whether you agree with the height or not. It sets a standard. A lot of folks are asking for some direction of what we want to do so they can start.
Well, I can appreciate people are asking for direction.
Like we're out of our
houses.
I'm out of my house.
The answer is not to abandon violence and to have 3/4 of the population have to sell and move out. Right? Because that's what you're looking at.
I think we're looking at that without any height.
But I just don't understand, why was 12 foot a good number after the earlier storm that our house has weathered now 2 storms at 12 foot? And now we're going to arbitrarily jump it up to 14 feet.
It's not arbitrary. You want to speak to the FEMA guidelines?
Yeah, I want to speak to the FEMA guy. Because we've
No, I'm talking to the engineer. I apologize.
Yeah. Basically, when they released these ADFE maps, even Keith Burnett said that these were conservative. They rushed these out, just as the mayor said, to give people a standard to build by, those that had the resources to go up quickly. So they want to be conservative, they moved a lot of the A zones to a B zone, they jumped up the levels 3 feet. You know, a lot of people in the downtown area, they used to be in an A, 11, some in the B12, they moved up to 14 across the board, except for a sliver of 16 down by North Street. FEMA has told me that a lot of that's going to come back to an A zone. And then after Monday night's meeting, I had another meeting with FEMA, and they told me that those elevations may come back down. But what the state is asking all the towns to do right now, to stay inside that NFIP program, to comply with the state flood hazard regs, is to adopt these ADFE maps now, as they are, just to give people a standard, get everybody in line, give people a standard right now. Now, when the new maps come out, I'm here in September now, that the new zones, maybe reverting back to the old zones, maybe reverting back to old elevations, will be included in those maps. When those maps are adopted, then the town will follow suit to adopt those maps, which might bring everybody back down to where they were anyways.
Yes, but this level of elevation is unreasonable. It's not as if the people down in Bowling Green got told, oh, you've got to raise your height by 12 feet, or 14 feet, or 18 feet, or whatever arbitrary number is set here.
Right,
It's not like all of Staten Island's written off. And I have the feeling like Highlands is being completely written off. And you're putting through rules that are impossible to meet, and as a result, it's killing the town.
Okay. Thank you. Going to close public portion of this. So we table this for now.
Okay, so ready?
To the second meeting in May.
Based on what?
New information coming out and more time to digest it.
I agree with the mayor. I would want more time before we make a firm decision on this. I want to get more information for myself.
I think there's more involved in
Right.
this. It's only in the last 3 days. We're doing a motion. Carol, I'm going to offer to table it, or
Okay, so we've closed the public hearing, so your motion would be to carry the vote to the second meeting in May, correct?
please.
Second by?
A comment, a discussion on the motion, please?
Sure. We need a second.
I'll second that.
We have a second?
Yep.
At this point, that puts the raising house projects all on hold.
Correct.
The people I've talked to, I want to do in my own house too. Kevin's a little more, you're doing a knockdown and rebuild, right?
Correct.
Most of the people I've talked to are not doing that, they're getting back in and then figuring out how to lift it. So I don't think it's going to stop the majority of getting back in.
Okay, B, our ordinance refers to the FEMA advisory DFEs, and as they change,
It would evolve. I understand what you're saying.
our ordinance will evolve automatically, including the A zone versus B zone.
I would still like a few weeks to digest this information and get more
And I'll
information.
back her up on that.
C, the decision to John's point, I'm a 12-footer also. I was not damaged. My decision to raise or not raise, no matter what the limit is the insurance, the limits that the firm map gets set without any involvement from the council or from the state. It's set nationally at this point. So the insurance rates are going to be based on whatever they set the firm map at. And what your house is relative to that firm elevation is the insurance that you'll pay. D, I'm sorry?
That'll come out next January.
Right. D, if your house is not substantially damaged, none of this applies to you.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
The Bigger Waters Act, last summer, the Bigger Waters Act gives the FEMA the ability to raise your insurance premiums 20% a year.
Regardless. Please, we're not talking about, we're talking about.
Yeah, but if you're not substantially damaged,
Michelle.
you still have the possibility of being raised 20% a year.
You're absolutely right, and that has nothing to do with the elevation. That's your economic decision. That's all I'm saying. That's an economic decision that you make. But at this point,
That's not
let me say it differently. If the town says it's 12 feet, and then the firm's map says you need to be at 14, your insurance rates are going up. If the town says you're at 14 feet, and the firm map goes up to 60, you're still going to be paying. Yes.
I disagree, and here's why. Because many of the homeowners insurance companies are withholding renewing homeowners insurance in our area until you guys do. They're waiting for your decision. So if you say it's 12 feet, then our homeowners insurance gets renewed. If you say it's 14 feet, then our homeowners insurance doesn't get renewed.
That's a separate issue, I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
They're referring to municipality.
We know.
Well, okay, can I ask you a question?
Sure, sir.
Name and address, please.
Bill Skiff, 15 Ocean Avenue. Seabright is at 13 foot. Seabright, of course, is
It's also not a B zone.
Alright.
It's also not a B zone.
It's not a B zone.
Or B.
It's an A zone,
It's not a B zone.
and 99% of the town uses.
It still is.
That's an A
Someone said
zone.
because of the wall.
Because of the wall.
Yeah, I heard that from someone.
We don't have it. Okay. I offered Ms. Ryan second. Got called for a vote.
Ms. Ryan?
Yes, table this.
This is the vote to table.
They the table till the
Yes.
second meeting in May, which is the
Right.
15th.
Yes.
Back then, I simply loved Gorton's fish sticks. Now, I love Gorton's new Simply Bake. The foil bags bake in your oven to lock in flavor, so fish comes out simply perfect.
Next time on the 15th we meet, there probably will be a vote. Yay, nay. If we modify it, we'll have to re-notice it, and everybody will know that.
So you choose the table.
It's just a table. It's not a vote up or down. You still might vote 5-0 to go if we want to get more information as it's evolving. We also applied for $151 million to lift the house. So not that we're not going to get that by May 15th, but we'll have some more information.
Again, you know, people like Twitter, you'd be able to participate in any.
If we make it a 14, they will. My opinion.
We don't want it.
It's a whole song, man, I understand that. That's why we table it. That's why we table it. Good.
Oh, okay.
More research.
Okay, procedurally, go ahead. When an ordinance gets adopted, there's a first reading, which we did not adopt tonight.
No, we adopted this at first reading.
Correct.
Then the ordinance is adopted. Then we have a public hearing and a second reading and adoption. So then we have a public hearing. The second reading and adoption part is in case. So this is voted on at the next meeting. It will become law.
So May 15th,
May 15th.
you want to be there?
Discussion before the vote?
Yes. I'll make sure there's at least there like we did.
So you had the first reading.
You had it, correct.
The first reading was in March.
Then it went to the planning board, and they commented and it came back. And then we vote on it, yea or nay. We're going to table to the 15th, and we will have a public portion before it. Okay?
That's going to make it point
So do we need to get press on this in order to have you understand?
One at a time. Sorry, ma'am?
Do we need to get press on this so that you understand the
Press.
gravity?
No, we have the ability to look into it ourselves, too, but I appreciate it.
Can this
Easy, boys, easy.
motion, this ordinance go back to the plan?
Back to planning?
Yeah, is that possible?
They approved it unanimously.
No, it's
Thursday
done.
night. Yeah.
Done.
Thank you.
Okay.
On for second reading of public hearing is ordinance 0-13-6, an ordinance amending and clarifying section 3-4 and 10-10 to provide for elimination of fire hazards and brush, weeds, trash, and debris removal in Lansing Borough County to include dwelling.
Bruce, want to just speak to the briefly what it is?
Sure, this was an ordinance that we already had on the books. There's an enabling statute in Title 40A. The statute refers to lands and dwellings. Our ordinance did not refer to dwellings, so I included dwellings. What it does is it allows the borough, if someone has private property that has a fire hazard or some threat to public health and safety, and if the landowner doesn't do anything, the borough can eventually fix the problem and place a lien on it.
Fix the lien on the property for any cost we incur, correct?
And, right, and it was something we already had, I just clarified it to make it consistent with the state statute.
Okay. Any questions on 13-6? Yes, sir.
Excuse me, Mark Peter, 42 Atlantic Street. Does fix the problem include demolition of the building?
It might,
We have
that's,
one on our blocks.
that's an interpretation depending on the circumstances, so it's hard to say hypothetically, but that is possible that would include demolition of the
Who would make that determination?
That's a legal determination, I would be involved in that, if there's a lawsuit, a judge would be involved in that.
I mean, for example, and it can't be the only one, we have a bank-owned property. It's It's right next door.
We have about 80 to 100. Was it remediated or no? Nobody went in there
It
yet?
wasn't remediated from the previous.
We have 80 to 100. We had somebody, we can't really expand on it too much, but we had an organization here in executive session that we discussed this possibility of moving forward with that hand in hand doing something.
So this ordinance would enable.
It's part of the whole picture.
Understood.
Yeah, but we recognize there's roughly triple-digit numbers of houses that we're going to have to take a look at next. And we've been trying to, there's a legal process to it. There's a legal process which we started. The last thing we want to do is get halfway through and then have to pull out. So there's the legal process to start with. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to that point where the township does demolish some homes, those homes would include the dangerous toxic mold.
You know.
Will you be, like doing the encasement and
Well,
demolishing
the folks that we spoke to have a whole separate way of doing that. It's not just toxic mold. A lot of these homes are pre-1950s. So there's asbestos, there's going to be lead paint. It's not going to be going to a regular landfill. There's a whole process for that. The asbestos is actually worse than the lead paint than the black mold, believe it or not, right now as far as classification goes, professionally. So there is a whole other process to that. We're aware of that, and the folks we're talking to are aware of that too. They're very experienced in other parts of the country. Yes, ma'am.
Michelle, this is Low 115 Highland Avenue. Who, does the homeowner get notified before?
That's part of the legal process, yes, ma'am.
So, and how long do they have to kind of act on the notice that they get?
What is the statute, 45 days?
I'm not even sure if it's that much.
30? I'll tell you, I called a couple myself because I knew that they were vacant since before Irene, or long before Irene. And the answer I got was a bank, official. Do we got to do it? They're at a total loss anyway on their sheets, so they really don't care about that. So obviously, there'll gotta be a quick turnaround there. It's going to be different on case by case. A lot of different stages of those happen.
Offer final reading and adoption is ordinance 0-13-6, an ordinance amending and clarifying sections 3-4 and 10-7 to provide for the elimination of fire hazards and brush weeds, trash and debris removal from lands within the borough to include such.
All of it.
Offered by Mayor Long.
I'll second it.
Second by Ms. Ryan. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Francis? Ms. Kane? Mayor Long?
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to other business, we have your status report.
In public portion, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's report, I'll keep it brief. The 2011 road program, which includes the roads up on the hill, Valley, Woodland, Prospect, and Bayview. All concrete work is now complete. All drainage work on Woodland is complete. Paving has started on Woodland. They were milling over on Prospect. They started doing some repairs there. All goes well. I'll have everything paved, including Prospect and Woodland by the end of the street, or end of the week, I mean. And then the following would just be restoration, and we can close that project out. Highland Avenue, now that you've paid the contractor in full tonight, we can submit the final reimbursement documents to DOT and get the remaining 25% of the grant that we got for that roadway. The dredging of Jones Creek, the county has agreed to do the dredging. They have now identified a disposal location. So they are currently drafting up agreements. They are working on a resolution for the freeholder board.
Put in that sentence, not to cut you off, make sure they take the stuff off the shore drive that we did on the emergency process.
Right, we're talking to them about that as well.
That's got to be in.
Right.
Bill, I have a question. Is there any proposed timeline on that, if any idea?
They're looking to do this within the next couple of weeks. Depends on the freeholder schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Depends on how their meetings fall.
Right. Right. I know they had some concerns about the Snug Harbor Beach. We might have to limit access to that for a couple of days.
While they're doing it.
Yeah, while they're doing it. Right. So, but they are looking to do with their resources, their equipment, their personnel, as long as the borough gets the permits. We anticipate having to, well, now that they've identified their source, we completed the documents. We're anticipating having that permit by the end of the week.
Good. Just make sure that includes the debris on shore drive.
Right, we were working with them on that now. They were kind of hesitant on that part. Yes. Yes. Minor contaminants, as you would expect in any roadway, really.
Right.
No, that's got to go. That's why they identified their their disposal site to take it out of town.
But it's not known.
Right, it's got roadway contaminants.
Sure, like any other.
Right.
Okay.
Not high levels, but, you know, enough where you don't want to use it for a...
So on a link.
Absolutely. The North Street Pump Station, I've submitted draft plans for the government body to review. As long as everybody's okay with it, and I'll work with Mr. Pfeffer on a bond ordinance, we'll get that advertised and get that underway. All right, repairs to Washington Avenue. We have a pre-construction meeting scheduled with the contractor for Thursday. Also working with Brandon Contracting, who awarded the contract to last meeting to install the, I should say replace the inlet and the outfall piping at the Recreation Place intersection. Also, Bayside Drive, that design's been completed. Project is scheduled to be in the paper on April 19th for advertisement for bids, with an anticipated award date at the May 1st council meeting.
That is it?
Yeah, right now, you know, the grants and loans portions, nothing's really changed. We submitted all the letters of intent for Sandy. We're still waiting final direction from DOT with regards to the application we submitted. And I'm still on hold for the Irene House Lifting grant. Still can't get an agreement out of the field to save my life.
I have a question for Mr. Wilder. There's no mention of the CRS program in your status report, Dale?
Yeah, normally, because it really isn't an engineering matter, it's more of a floodplain administrator matter, which I could include in here. We submitted the letter. FEMA has gotten back to us saying they are coming to town to do an audit of files and doing a drive-through around town to look at various properties.
And when is that?
They have not given me a date. They said that they want to do that. They will get back to me with a date.
Well, that's the first step in the program.
Well, we submitted the letter to them to state, because we had to get a letter into them to say we are interested. So I got that in, they acknowledged receipt of that letter, and now they, and most likely be bringing the DEP with them to audit our files and drive around town, but they have not given me a solid date yet.
Second point on the North Street pump. We have to take a good look at that design. All right, so at this point, I don't think we're going to move forward short term right now.
That's fine.
An 18-foot building there is problematic, Dale. We have to look at that.
I agree, but right now, in order to get FEMA reimbursement, we had to get all the utilities up out of the floodplain. And that's a 16 down there. That's not the V14, it's a V16 down where that station is. So we had to get utilities 2 foot above that. So that's why, I agree, that station's going to be way up in the air.
We have to do something different. That's just unrealistic. I mean, it's taller than the houses there.
I agree, but if you want reimbursement from FEMA, you got to meet all codes and standards. That's one of them.
Well, we have to look.
Yeah.
At this point,
We have to hold it.
Right, Carolyn's got a full set of plans. I know I submitted emails to you guys today.
Did you bring a
Carolyn's
set
got
with you?
Yeah, she's got a full set that's available for perusal.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. The building's gonna be way up there, but that's the only way we're gonna get reimbursement if we go with that, you know, with that design.
Okay. Anything else to Dale on the table? Okay.
Mayor, just my name is Penny Moore.
Table that.
May 1st or the 2nd?
15th. Folks, I just wanted, before we go into public portion, 13-96 is a slight thing. It's not a big lightning rod issue, but it's stated on the original calendar that we adopted in January that May 1st was a holiday, so there was no meeting. So that's obviously it's not a holiday unless you live in Mother Russia. May 1st, there will be a meeting, probably right here at 8 o'clock. Okay, I just want to make that known so everybody understands that there is a meeting on May 1st. Anything else?
There was 2 items. One, Councilwoman came and it was United Redevelopment.
Oh, I know. Good. Becky, you want to talk to me?
Yeah, I basically just wanted to bring it up for our thoughts. I mean, obviously, we know that we have multiple groups coming in here talking about holistic ways to look at our future and stuff, but I think we collectively, the 5 of us, should look at our future, where we want to be, what we're looking to move forward with. Basically, our coordinated efforts and how we want to work together to kind of get this accomplished. We know we have multiple properties that are left, and we need to make plans and how we're going to do it. Yeah.
I think that you and I spoke about this. I think we should do a special meeting because it's going to be that's a meeting by itself. We can't meet just 2 at a time because we're getting nothing done going back and forth. So I think we should talk about a special meeting in May, advertise it, and and just get it done and make that a whole meeting and make that a public forum is required to, I don't even know if you need executive for it, and do 10 minutes.
No,
Catch
it's a long
everybody up.
workshop, you know, a long workshop.
Pretty much, yeah, we don't
Discuss.
really need an executive unless it's something,
Okay,
and we do that half hour before the meeting.
and also, you know, it does tie into the class that Mr. Francis did, so I'll let you.
Exactly, so
You
we'll
know.
right into that first.
Okay, Rutgers University has what they call a studio. It's a course, and that they have been studying Seabright. At this point, helping Seabright decide what to do in 3 scenarios: retreat, restore, grow. And so that this urban planning class has been conducting a class. It's got about 20, these are masters, it's a master's level program, these are graduate students. And they've been studying various components of those 3 scenarios. They're meeting with Mayor Dina Long in Seabright in 4 weeks to make a presentation. And it's an advice thing. It's to giving Seabright more options. I wish they were doing it for Highlands, because we could use that kind of help. I expressed that to the professor, and it turns out Rutgers is part of the New Jersey Sea Grant Consortium, which is located out on Sandy Hook. And it's basically NOAA and many other federal agencies studying environmental issues relative to development. And in particular, NOAA has requested the Sea Grant Consortium to present grant proposals relative to development along the New Jersey shore. Rutgers remembered our conversation, and at this point they proposed to make and NOAA wants to do it with one town along the seashore, and they want that one town to become a model for the rest of the seashore, development. They've approached Highlands, all right, to participate in this program. It's a $1 million grant. At this point, the grant is to Rutgers to fund all of the planning officials, all of the experts, all of the scientists that will be coming to bear on this issue. All right. Highlands' commitment is to provide access to Highlands, all right, to provide access to our professionals, to participate in the process, to bring the public into participation of the process. There are quarterly visioning meetings where Rutgers will be both talking and asking for information. Our contributions, there has to be a matching grant, and all of our contributions can be in kind. And I worked out that at this point, with just a very brief review of the effort involved, we would generate $36,000 worth of in-kind contributions. Monies that we don't take out of our pocket, all right, monies that we're already spending in professionals that would all qualify. I think this is an excellent opportunity for Highlands to get a wealth of information about growing in the future. We have specific problems, all right? We talked about some of them tonight, dealing with elevation, dealing with the climate change. Our clam plan. What is the status of the clam stocks as a result of Sandy, all right? How do we deal with sea level increases over 50 years? This is not going to be a study about tomorrow. This is really going to be much more of a study about the future. How do we deal with the potential hazards of the slump block going forward? All right. We had, after Irene, we had 150 feet of the hill come down and go through apartments. Are we at risk again? If you look at the hill, you'd say absolutely. Why are those people still living in those houses? You know, it's the big thing about this study is that no offense, Dale, it's not our normal planning department, our normal planning consultants, all right? These are scientists, these are experts, these are people who have dealt with these issues in other places and bringing other expertise to bear. These people are looking forward, they're looking for a partner, and I recommended to the council that we do participate. I've drafted a letter to the council for Tim to sign, and the deadline for the grant application is Friday, so time is of the essence. So that is it, everybody. There are copies of the letter that Carol could show you, but Mr. Mayor, I make that proposal.
Okay. You want to take some questions on it before we vote? That okay?
I'd just like to comment that I just received a phone survey from Rutgers just in the last week. That was a phone survey that was done to about 600 people within New Jersey. And the survey that they asked was highly slanted. And what it asked was essentially, shouldn't we just retreat from the Jersey Shore given the impact of climate change? Shouldn't we force the people who are living on the beachfronts to tear down their houses, turn it into open space? And if we did that, should we reimburse them the market value of their home before Sandy, or should we give them a token $10,000?
Did you verify it with Rutgers?
Yes.
How?
Because they gave me the number and I called
I'm
back.
not aware.
And I was very concerned about it, because the questions that they asked were very leading, very slanted, and were designed to come up with survey results which said, basically, abandon the Jersey Shore.
That's not what this is about.
And I'm concerned that Rutgers may not be as objective as you're presenting it.
I can tell you one way we can check on that. When is the presentation in CBAC?
May, first meeting in June, I'm sorry.
Okay, is it a public meeting?
Yes.
If they tell them to cut and run, then we'll know what we're talking about.
But feel free to
I understand what you're
get
saying.
the survey questions they asked. Totally slanted.
Well,
that was a verbal survey, ma'am, not an email?
It was a verbal survey on the phone, but it was a survey taker, he had a number, and all that.
With this is a multi-stage process. This is, the first step is Highlands willing to participate. It doesn't commit us.
I think the worst case scenario, Mr. Francie, because Wendy will probably answer us.
I mean, we can always use a brain trust to help us solve our problems for the town. But I'm just concerned that it could be a slanted study which is designed to essentially recommend turning it back to beachfront.
Their meeting is after our first meeting in May. I'm pretty sure Mr. Francie will be at their meeting. Yes. So we'll get a brief description from him at the second meeting in May, what they told CBRAC to do. So, I mean, if they,
And the copy of the proposal.
We have it over here.
A, you can get a copy. B, in no way is it slanted as your survey. I wouldn't have participated in that.
There's many different
Let me just.
This is recommendation, we don't have it.
That's correct. It doesn't make it law.
Let me just show you my closing comments to the letter. In closing, Highlands looks forward to participating in the project and becoming a model of shoreline development going forward for other similarly situated communities along the New Jersey shore. We will come back. This is our goal. This is not, Rutgers is not going to deviate from our goal in this program.
Anybody that gives us recommendations, we don't have to act on it. But I understand what you're saying.
Other than financially being involved, then what are our obligations if we participate? Do we have to follow through the way they recommend?
No, it's just that, a recommendation.
They only ask us to strongly consider, and these are her words, their words, strongly consider implementing the changes. We're not under any commitment, all right? We're asked to strongly consider. And we would be fools not to strongly consider the recommendations of scientists dealing with, well, climate change is A, but B, from my point of view, it's relating to the clam plant, relating to the stocks, the clamming stocks.
Our renewable things like that.
Yes.
You know, the other thing is too, they'll probably give us 100 recommendations, right? Or thereabouts. It doesn't even have to take all 100 or one. You might say 50, that sounds great, 50 don't apply here, in our opinion.
It's a very good question, man. It really is.
Absolutely.
And it's very clear. We're only asked to strongly consider the recommendation.
It's good that you're there.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I'm John Pager. It's good that you're going to be there to hear their positions. It doesn't pay not to go.
Correct.
Sure, absolutely.
And they'll report back to us on the 15th exactly what they
I've been going to the Seabright class for 3 months now, 4 hours a week, so I'm going to get credit for it.
Do you have a party?
Huh?
Do you have a graduation party?
I'm not touching that.
No more kickers for me.
Okay, so we're going to vote on it. Do you offer it?
I do offer that we participate with Rutgers.
I'll second it. Roll call.
Mr. Francis, second by Mayor Nolan. Ms. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Redmond?
Yes.
Mr. Francie?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's it, Karen? Public
Yes,
question?
moving on to public questions.
Michelle Pavula?
Hi, Michelle Pizzullo, 115 Highland Avenue. I just have a general kind of comment and a concern. I'm concerned about the social media that's not being addressed by our council or our town. Primarily, there's a Highlands blog, and they speak about sewer charges. And I really think that it should be looked at, because there is, it gave me pause to even think, if we are being metered and nobody really has a meter on there.
We're not being metered individually.
So we're being
Metered
metered
as a town,
as a
going from
town,
us to the
okay.
towns and then the towns.
But also the fact that if our consumption has not gone down after Sandy, I don't understand how that could be if we have a lot of abandoned homes in Highlands. So they say that either the restaurants are using this water or there's a leak somewhere.
There's infiltration also.
Is there any, but so that's that. So, but getting back, I really think that with social media, it's really important for the council people or someone within the organization address whether they're rumors or not, because social media will drive the rumors instead of the truths. And it's best to just nip it in the bud instead of having it perpetuate.
This year, the Highlands blog used to be the Atlantic Highlands Herald.
No, there is an Atlantic Highlands Herald as
and
well.
everybody's on there with assumed names or usernames, and there's no accountability of who you are and standing by what you say.
Okay, I'm on a blog and I'll take total accountability.
We'll get to
you. Guys
we'll
actually contradicted yourself, and that's what my blog was about. You guys contradicted yourself. It's my
Sorry,
personal opinion.
Michelle.
It's not
listen
Melissa.
very
It's not Melissa. It's not Melissa. It's
Sorry,
Melissa. It's not Michelle.
Sorry, Melissa.
Melissa, I'm sorry.
Michelle, anything else?
Peterson.
Whether there are people that are going
Ma'am, she has the
under,
floor. Sorry.
whether there are people that are going under assumed names or not, it's really important to nip that in the bud. And when you see truths being written, that it's important to set the record straight.
Okay. I don't know if anybody right now that sits here that has a second to go on blogs and into social media. This is a full-time job.
I understand that, but by you not doing it, or some, not you personally, but I'm saying by it not being done, you are causing yourselves, well, they're not causing yourselves, there's more harm that is being done in the long run by just, and you don't even have to do it every day. You can set an hour aside or appoint someone to look at them and bring this to the council to say, how should this be answered? Because there are a lot of mistruths and it's being perpetuated, and people are coming into the Solution Center and other public places and they're saying that they're true when they're not true.
What's not true?
We're not
I'm
Thank you,
I'm
Michelle.
not talking about the Highland blog in particular. I'm talking en general. Okay?
And Michelle, I think when they come into the Solution Center, you should refer them to the next council meeting.
And tell them the truth.
We do.
Yeah, and then this is.
And we do.
You know, this is where the business
And I
happens.
try to, whenever I see it, and if it's in my power and I absolutely know the answer 100%, I will comment. But I don't want to get into a tit for tat, and you know, I just think that it's really important, and there's lots of studies that have been done about social media and setting the record straight. Whether you have time or not, it's really important to get into the mix.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms.
That's
Carol,
just-
thoughts?
Carol, I'll go through pretty short. I have three issues. One is the COs. Nobody is coming out. People are moving into the second floor because the first floor is not finished.
Short drive.
Yeah, maybe. And there are no COs being issued, and we don't know how to stop them. Because some of them are owners, and some are previous renters that were there before the storm. But we don't know how to stop them from moving in.
Have you called Mr. Mercado or?
I believe somebody spoke to Paul. So we'd like some help with that. The second thing, I had asked them to write a letter.
Who's that?
Okay. I'd asked them to write a letter regarding the sewer fees because we are billed for 168 units. And we only have 30 units occupied. And they said that we couldn't get any reduction in that bill because you had to pass a resolution or something. It's not an official thing. So I want to know if you can consider something like that.
We haven't discussed that yet. That doesn't mean we're not.
And then the taxes, I don't know who this involves, but I know that a lot of people apply for a reduction in their taxes. And they've been told it's going to happen in the next quarter. Is that true?
July quarter?
I don't know.
I was told the third quarter was some sort of.
You know, you can check your taxes on the Mod 4 data, Monmouth County.
Right online.
Online.
I
For
know.
specific properties.
Well, we've already paid the first two at the regular.
You can see what your assessed value is, that's all I'm saying. And that'll tell you whether your
Have there
assessment
been
was.
changes in that? In other words,
January 10th was the last date.
Yeah, and pardon?
There's a little postcard that goes out and tells you last year's assessment and this year's.
One you use for the income tax?
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. But
And Ms.
anyway.
Buckle, I was told it was sort of out in the third quarter, starting.
Yeah, because people applied before the 10th of January, and they were told, that was like the deadline. I mean, some people wrote directly to Matt Clark because they
Correct.
couldn't get in touch with Charlie Eck. And,
Some did not want to.
but I haven't heard anything as to what's happening.
All the changes that have been incorporated are reflected on the Mod 4 data.
Already?
And that data is accurate as of July, as of January.
That was deadline. So
Yes.
that would be effective before.
No, I was just saying.
I mean, January.
The Mod 4 data is reflective of January 10th data.
So any updates are not there.
Anything after that is.
Third quarter, we're supposed to, what I've been hearing from everyone that I've talked to, we should hear something from the,
Okay, is there any hope for the sewer?
I think it's something we have to discuss. But on the list.
Oh, I mean, the problem with the sewer is that
Well,
what
let's,
you.
why don't you give us, I have not even cut that. Give us status of where we're at with the sewer. for everyone doing this.
Oh, no problem.
And we've got to the community of the links.
Yeah, we are, they're starting construction on the pipeline from Quick Check, areas of Quick Check down the Navsec Avenue. That will connect us directly to the Thompson system.
So by the Stone Church, correct?
A little bit past the Stone Church, right?
Turn there?
Yeah, and that'll allow Highlands to be physically divorced from the Atlantic Highlands pump stations, and that the requirement for the dissolution process, as soon as that work is done, which is about mid-July, August, some kind of time frame, we will start the dissolution process. We'll go to the DCA, all the paperwork is done, all of the I's. We have to.
We've been doing this for a year and a half.
Oh, I know.
at this point,
Yeah, I know.
all of the, at this point, you've got to capture all of the costs. There is a financial dissolution, that's the important part. It has to be accurate, all right? And
What
so
is the
once
current-
once that happens, as of December 31st, we'll be functioning on our own. And from my point of view, and I think from Frank's, we are exploring having the system taken over by United Water is one person who has expressed an interest. Cops have expressed an interest. We don't have any details yet.
Because we didn't resolve the authority.
All right, but our plan is not to be in the sewer business as of December 31st.
And what is the current rate, and I'm put on the spot, that Tom's clients are paying as opposed to our residents?
$75,000.
Cool. A big drop.
And if
Yeah,
we
but
can get
everybody
it,
claims the sewer authority, but it's not the sewer authority that sets the fee for the townspeople. You guys set the fee for the townspeople. And when you first set that $140 fee, you said at the council meeting that it will be a two-time payment and then it will go back to 120.
There's no question.
we said it, we meant it, and then when it came time to reduce it, Pepper said we can't because at this point, it was not a fiscally responsible thing to do.
And because the authority, or people connected to the authority, incurred more expenses. That was the accelerator, driving force of getting rid of it. Because there is an overhead to have it. There's an overhead of people and everything else. When that goes away, we anticipate going directly either, like we said, to Thompson or United Water. There's not even a conversation, and that's where we're giving the rate that people pay. There's not even a conversation.
And to deal with another part of it is anyone taking over the system is going to become cognizant of, well, they will know about the I&I problem, which is the major issue with driving laws. You know, people are saying at this point, if you have 30, only 30 residents, or we have 200 houses empty, how can the sewer flow be what it is? We don't, at this point, these are highly accurate flow meters at our station, at Thompson, and at the Atlantic Highland Station. The numbers are what they are. I don't have an explanation, except they're there. Those are the real numbers. We're not making them up. We can't change them. We have to pay for the flow, which is why we can't reduce the sewer charges. We all love to do that. But what sewer charges we reduce for people who have specifically asked for it are going to get paid by the people living up on the hill. That's not fair. There's no way to get around
It's also
that.
not fair that we're paying for 168 units and we only have 30 occupied.
It's a contract you signed when you built that building 20 years ago. It's a contract we've all signed when we moved into town. You signed on to the sewer system, and it is. I'm trying to give you a better. You look younger.
Could there be something else feeding
Sorry.
the sewer system?
I'm sorry?
Could there be something else feeding the sewer system to the town?
Infiltration.
Resulting in an unnaturally high.
I'm sorry. I say it again, please, ma'am.
Could there be something else feeding the sewer system that's resulting in an unnaturally high rate on the meter, maybe from another town?
If you're interested, I can give you the flow charts that show that every rain, our flow rate goes up from 550,000 gallons a day to 700,000. Every time there's a major high tide, our flows go up. We have infiltration into our clay pipes. Our entire sewer system is, talk about aged infrastructure. It's way up there. We spent 600,000 on Basin 8, which is which is by the C Street, by the condos on Shore Drive, all right? What was the guesstimate for Area 2?
450, thereabouts, 500?
Yeah, it was some crazy number. We have to spend the money, but we don't have it. We have to fix the problem. We don't have the money. This is not, we want to reduce the fee. We can't, because the flows haven't gone down. What fees, you know.
I think what you're saying, the residents do not create any substantial flow at all. It's all the high tide,
No,
it's the rain.
I'm sorry you hear that one, those words. That's not what they said at all. And that's the problem with the block. You
That's
hear,
exactly
people
what
are
we
hearing,
said. That's exactly what we said. We said the flow has not gone down since Sandy, but there's nobody living in the town.
that's true, but that doesn't say where it's coming from. All I'm saying, the flows haven't come down.
We have meters in the town, you should be able to figure out where it's coming from.
Why? We have 2 meters, we have 1 meter, on the, by the firehouse. How does that determine what you put out, or what Tom put out, or what anybody puts
If
out?
the flow hasn't gone down and nobody's living in town, there's something wrong with
I have an
that.
I don't disagree.
I have an answer. Wait, I have a, how much water I use? How much water I use means how much sewage I put out. Very easy. You tell, if I use 100,000 gallons of water, I put out 100,000 gallons of sewage. That's it.
not the issue, we're not.
Sure it is. You say, you don't know how much I put out. It's very easy.
Tom, okay. At this point, we have to treat the I&I, and that's your problem.
Who created that problem? Not I.
Huh?
I didn't create that problem.
If you live in town, you created the I&I problem. We all are
We
responsible.
voted for that system that created that problem, not I. Well,
That system was created in 1983, way before we got here.
I was here in 83. I didn't vote for that system. But all I'm saying, because you're trying to say that you can't say how much sewage they put out. I talked to New Jersey American Water today, and they told me it's very easy for the sewer
We
department.
treat more than the water that goes down your toilet, Tom.
Okay, but Chris, why am I paying for wind and sea? I'm paying 140. Why am I paying the same amount as wind and sea when the restaurant that has a couple hundred people?
I don't
Make those. Okay, you have a water meter on it. You have a water. Wind and sea is using 10 times much water meter. Then maybe they should pay 10 times as much sewage like this.
Commercial properties, their sewer bills are based on consumption.
Ain't what it says on the books. Ain't what it says.
How can I be on consumption if we only have 2 meters?
Based on the water consumption.
No, the meters are to the sewer.
It's not, so they're based on the water, so the.
They're based on what it's going to.
Well, first the links.
And our pipes are so bad that it's rainwater.
And it's high water.
Well, folks, this isn't anything new.
Yeah.
Before Sandy, you were still paying if you wanted to do it. That's why we're getting rid of the analogy of what you do. Part of the answer should be a metered system. Is that something doable with the American Power can do? No. I bet American Water can do it with somebody else in that capacity.
And then they're going to have a motive to reduce the I&I. Because we're going to
You're also going to have an illegal.
yeah, we're going to restrict the rates. We're going to restrict what they can charge us. So the only way they're going to make a profit is to fix the I&I and stop treating all that water.
What is I?
Infiltration, yeah, correct.
The only stupid question when you're there.
It's not
See, that comes up. I'm sure there must be a lot of people saying.
For example, everything like Chris said, every time it rains, you have a high tide. Every time it rains, everything comes down to the highway.
Secret and stuff.
Well, then we're storm drainage, sewer,
All right.
I would bet that it's higher and worse since the storm, because everything got loosened up, right?
Yeah.
The system was terrible before the storm, because you were paying, you had a 2 you was renting it out, paid more, and no one lived there for a year. You paid the same amount. If you had 10 people legally, or you paid the same amount as if you had nobody. That's not a right system. We've been talking about this for years. Now we have the mechanism to at least start the process to fix it. It's not happening by the next meeting. Okay. The organization that's involved in it between the two towns is a joint venture to get rid of it. We're all in the process together. Chris and I have met there probably half a dozen times so far. Those meetings will pick up as we close to the end of the year because it's going to end by the end of this year. Okay. We anticipate the flows will start sometime in that, between say November and the end of the year to make sure everything's okay, and then explore what we're going to do with the system. The worst case scenario is go to Thompson, the rates right now are paying almost half of what we're paying. So that's the worst case scenario. But I also think we should have a metered system in case we do. That's it. Melissa and John.
No, I'll skip it.
Eileen and Bill. We signed up, folks. How you guys doing today, right?
I'm doing fine. I signed it.
This is not a test, First of all, the bus is the right thing.
I'm just looking to sign the sheet over there. I signed it.
You're okay, everything good at home, no problem?
We come back in. Okay, good. I myself think Highlands people
Make
You
sure you get
and
this
the
on the
council
floor.
and the mayor have done a phenomenal job.
Who has? No, I really didn't hear.
I was in AC Moore the other day, and there was a woman in front of me. She bought $79 worth of ribbons, and I'm standing there and I'm thinking, why is she buying all these ribbons? So I said, you know, I know I'm being nosy. I'm just curious. What are you going to do with these ribbons?
Sit hang yourself.
No, she said, I'm doing crafts with shells. She said, I've been displaced out of the town of Little Silver, who have done nothing for us. Absolutely nothing. She said, I went to raise my house. They said, my taxes will go up $9,000 if I raise my house. Take it or leave it, because we're getting enough money from all the people in the town that I guess are wealthy. So I spoke up for Highlands and I said, God, I'm really proud of my town, because I think you did a great job.
Thank you, Anthony.
I really mean it. I mean, as
Aren't you
far
glad I
as far as cleaning up the debris, you know,
We
doing
really had
everything.
to, I mean, I appreciate that, but we had to.
You do have a choice. A lot of other towns left it there.
I'm not speaking for them, but we had to, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think you did a good job.
Tom?
You already went through this.
You good? So Patricia Flanagan.
Tell my team manager, okay.
How are you doing, okay? Did you leave the $10 Did you guys get your check for the $10 fee or no? Thank you. Mr. Mandel.
Yeah, I'm Madeline. Three things I want to bring up. Bring the sewer up to the end. But
Okay.
One thing is the firehouse. It's open on Saturdays and Wednesdays.
You're talking about the current firehouse or the old?
The old firehouse where they give out the materials to people. And I think they should put hours on the outside, because people come into the bar down there at the VFW.
Let me ask you.
When is it open?
Okay.
And I went there today and I found out they're open 10 to 2 on Wednesday and then they're open on Saturday.
Okay.
Time should be posted.
Edie,
And
could you
get something for the nighttime.
We'll get it done tomorrow, sir, okay?
Something for the nighttime, you know?
Okay, well, I have to make sure we still have the money to pay the folks that are doing this right now.
Yeah.
Some are volunteers, some are paid. And that grant ends April 29th, where you apply for an extension.
And so we were waiting for it to be lighter longer?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
it's.
As things
a little
survive, you know what I
A
mean?
lot of people are asking about that.
Makes sense. The Solution Center's open nights too, so.
And the other thing, well, Bayside Drive, I know, Gail says it's going out for bid, so we'll pay that. That'll be paid. But on the sewage authority, people gotta remember.
You sat on there for many years, right, Mr. Mandel?
Yeah. The sewage authority, the sewers were put in the Highlands in 1927. And most of them are terracotta.
Yes, we know that. We're repairing.
There was a leak on the corner of Matthew Street and Shore Drive at one time. We were putting a couple hundred gallons a day, an hour into the sewer. We have springs that run on the street, and the water was just flowing right in. And when they got to seal them up, we had that all over town. And the I&I is high. I sat on the sewage authority for 10 years. And the I&I is bad.
It's gotta be worse now, right, Mr. Mandel?
When you go to Middletown, they charge more to treat just plain water. They need solid. When you don't have the solid to treat the water, it costs them more money. And that's where our cost factor goes up. But the one thing I want to stress here is, you're going to merge with somebody, go to Middletown. Because with the water companies, we sold our water plant. Now I'm paying $11 a month for my meter.
I understand.
And
We're
my
just
water
exploring
bill-
all options.
My water bill runs around $34 or $5 a month. And I know the water company will come in cheap. When they got to do the I&I and fix the water, the price is going to go up.
Anything that we discussed, which we had one conversation with them, because they called us when they knew what we were doing over here, and they've already spoken to Atlantic Towns too, it's not letting the cat out of the bag, they spoke to them also. There would be a minimum of a 5-year guarantee of rates and things like that. That's not even, we didn't even know, that's just in our minds we're talking about. But nobody's made any deals,
But
nobody's talked about
Middletown has all
financials.
the equipment fixed. They work on their.
What we need is really a It's not a metered system, they have to take a look at a lot of the problems that we have, whoever does this.
Whoever
because-
does it, they know that, you have to know the problem.
And they have to have the ability to do that too. You know what I mean?
Because there's a lot of problems, and I'll be glad to get rid of the service. We've been paying. We pay, Highlands actually pays about 54% of the bill, because only 2/3 of Atlantic Highland is tied into the sewer system. The rest of Atlantic Highland is all
55 now.
That's
55.
55%. The rest of it is all.
It can go up and down a couple points. No doubt
So
about
the
it.
people in Atlantic Highlands are paying $200 for credit. That's it.
Thank you, sir. What a meeting. Things after 9:30, all bets are off. There is no tape. They're broke.
There's a TV.
Just made it on Facebook. For the blog.
Just a quick question.
Go ahead, John.
I read my thing before, which I thought would be my question. Now, looking back to ordinance 13-6, with all these houses that may potentially be abandoned,
You're talking about the one with the debris removal and dwelling? Okay.
is that, it says here to include dwelling.
Correct.
Is that going to apply to abandoned houses?
It could, yes, sir. It's a case-by-case basis. There's a legal process attached to the, not attached to it, but that goes coincide with the ordinance. The legal process is we don't want to knock down houses and own land and leave land, and we don't really want to be in that business. But we have to follow a legal process and give ourselves all the options we can if people don't do what we need to.
To what specifically, we have 5 houses across the street from us that could potentially be abandoned.
There's 110, so I don't have.
We
Now,
have 5% across the street. So their lawns in the spring and summer, everybody get new
no question.
so lots and covered. So that will apply to this ordinance?
We're trying to make it expensive to not do the work,
To not do the right thing.
to not do the right thing. That's our goal.
So not necessarily that the town will do it instead of them. Or if
Correct,
you do
but
do it,
now we have the
they'll do it.
mechanism.
We retain that option.
It gives us the mechanism to do it and leave the property for any of our costs. Okay? There is a program out there. Part of the folks that we talked to today in the executive session before everybody came in. There is money out there that you can apply for to do this to these homes. And there's some of it that would not be paid for, that we would take that and divide it against the properties if we had to do it, to get our money back. Okay? Mona McCluskey, 17 Meridian. Mona, she left. Jamie Wardan, I think Jamie left too, right? Catherine Kraft. I don't know. Gerald Gates. Cut the price down. Gerald, okay? 42 Atlantic Street. I can't remember the name of it.
Mark Hebert.
We're good? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Second, third.
Folks, remember, May 1st is the next meeting right here at 8 o'clock.